tonight on Y News. The Philippine National Police Internal Affairs Service expects to complete its investigation on the killing of Alcantara Mayor Espinosa before the year ends. Department of the Interior and Local Government reports no indication of massive human rights violations in the country.
Inclusion of human trafficking cases in the provisions of the death penalty bill is now being pushed in Congress. Vice President Leni Robredo welcomes the opportunity of becoming the voice of a unified opposition.
President Rodrigo Duterte approves the establishment of a Migrant Filipino Workers Bank. And the South Korean parliament votes to impeach President Park Geun-hye over political controversy.
Y News begins now.
UNTV News and Rescue Command Center. This is Y News with Angelo Castro III, Gerry Alcantara, and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. The PNP Internal Affairs Service expects to complete soon their investigation on the killing of Mayor Espinosa in Baybay Jail involving CIDG Region 8 personnel. Ray Palayo will tell us why.
The Internal Affairs Service of the Philippine National Police has gathered almost all documents, evidence, and statements of witnesses in connection with the investigation on the killing of former Albuera Mayor Rolando Espinosa and Raul Yap. PNP-EA's Acting Deputy Inspector General Police Chief Superintendent Leo Angelo said on the talk show Get It Straight with Daniel Razon, the respondents who belong to CIDG Region 8 have also submitted their counter affidavits.
Requirement kasi sa pre-charge investigation that the respondents submits their counter affidavits.
While hindi ho yun ganun sa NBI.
Hindi ganun. So,
okay.
yun lang naman.
So, ibig sabihin parang ito ang isa sa mga nagpapabagal din sa inyo.
Yes.
Dahil si NBI, hindi niya naman requirement yun.
The requirement.
In the end, EAS said, whatever the result of the investigation, the fate of the police officers involved will still be up to President Rodrigo Duterte.
Well, he's the commander-in-chief.
Yes.
Chief
so, meaning to say, it can be done.
Well, the law allows that. His constitutional powers are allowed that.
And you cannot do anything about it anymore dahil under the authority kayo of the President.
Of course. We are just instruments ng policies ng President.
EAS is currently handling more than 2,000 cases connected to the police operational procedure. Around 700 cases were proven legitimate while 29 are under summary hearings.
There are more than 400 cases na tinitignan namin ngayon na medyo suspicious kami. Maybe hindi ito ng laban, maybe.
EAS only has 700 personnel but they need to at least have about 5,600 to perform more efficiently. Ray Palayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Department of the Interior and Local Government sees no indication of massive human rights violations in the country. Grace Casin will tell us why.
Amid the daily increase in the number of drug-related deaths in the Philippines, Department of the Interior and Local Government or DILG sees no massive human rights violation happening in the country. This after the random investigation the department has conducted into 25 out of 1,831 deaths under investigation cases linked to illegal drugs of the Philippine National Police. According to DILG Assistant Secretary Epimaco Densing III, 23 of the cases are proven to be legitimate police operations after they match the results of the independent human rights investigation of DILG, while other 2 are still undergoing a reinvestigation.
Any police operations will have always an indication of police operations. But indicatively, is it massive? It's not. There is indicative inference that there is there is no massive human rights violation. In fact, on the two cases,
The DILG, however, does not discount the possibility of human rights violations in the over 1,800 cases. This is why DILG says it won't stop investigating. The department also recommends the creation of PNP manual for conducting police operations, the use of body camera in all police operations, requiring policemen to undergo human rights seminar, and to make protection of human rights a major subject in police education. Meanwhile, DILG also noted that instead of using extrajudicial killings or EJK, what they will use will be the term extra-legal killings or ELK in referring to cases of drug-related deaths.
judicial killing is a killing ordered by our courts. It's a court order. What's an example or the only example of a judicial killing? Death penalty. So if a country has no death penalty, then obviously it has no judicial killing. If a country has no judicial killing, then there is no extrajudicial killing.
Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Malacanang calls the complaint filed by self-confessed hitman Edgar Matobato against President Rodrigo Duterte as a form of harassment. Monokson will tell us why.
The so-called Davao Death Squad, allegedly formed by President Rodrigo Duterte, is seen as the reason for the spate of killings in Davao City that began in 1988. Based on the complaint affidavit filed by Edgar Matobato at the Office of the Ombudsman earlier, all activities of the Davao Death Squad were directed by President Duterte when he was still the mayor of Davao City. Matobato also said that all the high-profile killings were personally witnessed by Duterte. Matobato also wants to file a murder and kidnapping complaint and also violation of the Anti-Torture Act and human rights against the president. But Malacanang said all the complaint filed by Matobato before the ombudsman is a form of harassment. This only aims to divert the attention of the president from fulfilling his duty to the people. The ombudsman has previously ignored the investigation on the alleged Davao Death Squad involving President Duterte when he was still the mayor of Davao City. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Office of the Ombudsman.
A Solon will push for the inclusion of human trafficking cases in the provisions of the death penalty bill during Congress's plenary discussion. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
OFW Party List Representative Anicito Bertiz said human trafficking cases should be included in the list of crimes punishable by death penalty. Specifically, the provisions under the Republic Act No. 10364 or Expanded Anti-Trafficking in Persons Act of 2012. These include cases of sex slavery of minors or the removal or sale of their body organs.
Sa batas natin ngayon, yung Trafficking in Person Act, yung amended, regulation perpetua na yan tulad ng trafficking in persons for exchange of or for selling human organs, trafficking of minors para gamitin sa mga terrorist act, mga armed rebels, diba? These are the things that dapat i-insert at hindi dapat kalimutan sa kung isusulong talaga natin ang death penalty.
Despite this, Bertiz said that the provisions of the measure need to be detailed when the death penalty reimposition bill is tackled in the plenary. He adds that there is a possibility that the proposed bill will be approved by next year.
Meron silang tinatawag na supermajority pero hindi rin alam ang temperatura kung lahat ba yan ay boboto. So kaya nga sa susunod na taon na natin siguro pagbobotohan to.
Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Senators from the Liberal Party will oppose the passage of a bill aiming to reimpose death penalty in the country. Joyce Balancho will tell us why.
Liberal Party President Senator Kiko Pangilinan maintains that the reimposition of the death penalty will not be a deterrent to crimes. In a statement, Pangilinan said what the government should do is to improve the justice system that will result in speedy disposition of cases. Senate President Pro Tempore Franklin Drilon and Senator Laila de Lima said the LP senators will be opposing the measure.
The LPs in the Senate will not vote in favor of the reimposition. We are against the reimposition of death penalty. Pag nagkabali ka, hindi mo na pwedeng baguhin. Pangalawa, we are not convinced that the imposition of the death penalty is a deterrence to crime.
Whatever is the offense or the offenses covered, whether drug-related, cases of violations of the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Act or other heinous crimes, I am against death penalty.
Senator Risa Hontiveros meanwhile expressed concern over efforts to pass measures to reinstate the death penalty alongside the lowering of the age of criminal liability to 9 years old from the current 15 years old. She said reimposing death penalty will contradict the government's rehabilitation programs for the convicted drug users and criminals. She also said children aged 9 are still too young to be treated as criminals. What should be improved, Hontiveros said, are the educational and rehabilitation programs, especially for the youth. Joyce Balancio, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Vice President Leni Robredo says she is ready to become the voice of the opposition following her resignation as a member of President Duterte's cabinet. Grace Cassin will tell us why.
Vice President Leni Robredo welcomes and strongly supports the idea of creating a group that will serve as the voice of the opposition so the issues they raise will eventually reach the president. According to the Vice President, they have to unify their actions to strengthen their force. Robredo says among the matters she will continue to oppose are the plans to reinstate death penalty, human rights violations, the raising numbers of extrajudicial death, the lowering of age of criminal responsibility, and the Marcos burial.
Unifying siguro the voices of dissent. Hindi ito opposition against the administration per se, pero opposition against certain policies of the administration we do not agree with.
Robredo also strongly denies the accusations of Senator Alan Peter Cayetano that her moves are part of her early campaign for the presidency.
Wala naman ako interest magpangulo. Parati ko yung inuulit now, before, until now. Wala akong ganong pangarap.
The Vice President also belies the allegations that she's behind the so-called Out Duterte plot. Robredo clarifies that she's still supporting the administration, especially if its policies is not opposed to what they're fighting for.
Pero ngayon mismo kahit sa sarili kong partido, sinabi ko na maging supportive pa din tayo sa mga policies ng Pangulo na we agree with. Mag-oppose lang tayo more vigorously doon sa mga kontra tayo.
Grace Cassin, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City. President Rodrigo Duterte has ordered the creation of a 25-member consultative commission that would review and study the provisions of the 1987 Philippine Constitution, particularly the provisions on the structure and power of the government, local governance, and economic policies. Members of the commission will come from various sectors and will be appointed by the president. The president has been encouraging Congress to begin drafting a new system for the country's possible shift to a federal form of government. Motorists are experiencing moderate to heavy traffic along EDSA southbound lane. Nel Maribuhok is at EDSA Philam to tell us why live. Yes, Nel.
Good evening, Darlene. Because it's Friday, as usual, traffic is heavy in the most part of the metro as our motorists are on their way home. Let's check out our traffic situation here in EDSA. As early as 4 p.m. in the afternoon, our motorists are experiencing heavy traffic in major points of EDSA. Expect delays starting from North Avenue intersection to Quezon Avenue. Vehicles are still slow-moving along Nia Road, Kamuning, Nepa Q Mart up to Aurora Boulevard. Moderate to heavy traffic is experienced in Pitwazon, Cubao, all the way to SM Mega Mall and Shaw Boulevard. Meanwhile, vehicles are stuck in traffic in Makati area. It's heavy traffic from Guadalupe all the way to Ayala Avenue EDSA intersection. but the volume of vehicles will loosen up after they pass the Taft Avenue area. Going back here in Quezon City, vehicles are slow moving in Ayala Avenue, Orense, Reliance up to SM Mega Mall. It's still moderate traffic in Ortigas area all the way to Cubao area. To those who are going in Manila area from Quezon City, from Elliptical Road going to Timog, moderate to heavy traffic. Vehicles are slow moving in G. Araneta intersection all the way to España area. Also moderate to heavy traffic from Banawe all the way to EDSA intersection. Let's check out our live points. In Monumento MacArthur Highway, going to Malinta, motorists will experience moderate to heavy traffic. Meanwhile, vehicles going to EDSA, Recto Avenue, there will be light traffic situation in that area. And that is our traffic update here in EDSA. Back to you, Darlene.
Thank you, Nel. And that's Nel Maribuhok reporting live from EDSA PhilAmp. The Interagency Council for Traffic, or IAC, will further expand the operation of the Pasig River ferry system this holiday season. Joanna will tell us why.
Interagency Council for Traffic, or IAC, led by the Department of Transportation, launched today new services of the Pasig River ferry system to address the expected increase in the number of passengers this holiday season. Starting today until December 31, Pasig Ferry Station extends its time of operation. Under the new schedule, there will be an additional ferry boat trips. It starts from 6:30 in the morning until 10 in the evening. Each trip will have a 40-minute interval. To address the bulk of passengers traveling from Makati to Divisoria, the Interagency Council added an express service schedule in which ferry boats traveling from Guadalupe to Plaza Mexico Station will have a no stopover. Earlier, IAC presented 11 coasters donated by private sector groups. It will transport passengers from the Guadalupe station to the Uptown Complex in Bonifacio Global City in Taguig. Meanwhile, those coming from Terminal of Escolta will be transported by the shuttle service to Chinatown Mall and Divisoria.
That's about a kilometer away. Convenience ho talaga sa binibigay niya. No? And hopefully, magkakaroon ng talagang point-to-point service.
The fare for the shuttle service is temporarily free until February 2017. Only then will IAC decide on how much fare to impose. Department of Transportation has called on the public anew to support the Pasig Ferry to ease heavy traffic along major thoroughfares.
Huwag batikusin kaagad, huwag hanapan ng problema. Gamitin natin pagkat makakatulong ito para maibsan ang problema ng trapiko at transportasyon.
Joanna, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
Next in Y News. The Judicial and Bar Council announces 7 nominees to the position of Supreme Court Associate Justice to be submitted to President Rodrigo Duterte.
President Rodrigo Duterte sets to leave the country next week for his last state visits this year.
And President Rodrigo Duterte approves the establishment of a migrant Filipino workers ban.
Y News will be right back. President Rodrigo Duterte's state visits to Cambodia and Singapore will be his last 2 foreign trips before 2016 ends. Rosalie Cos will tell us why.
Before the year ends, President Rodrigo Duterte will travel to 2 more Southeast Asian countries. From December 13 to 14, he will go to Cambodia for a state visit. After that, he will travel straight to Singapore and stay there from December 15 to 16. President Duterte will have a royal audience with the Cambodian King Norodom Sihamoni, followed by a bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Hun Sen. According to the Department of Foreign Affairs, the issue on the South China Sea maritime disputes may possibly be discussed.
Well, the South China Sea issue could be raised, in the President's talks with the Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Sen.
maybe under the ambit of regional defense and security issue.
Meanwhile, on his Singapore state visit, President Duterte is said to have bilateral talks with Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. A state banquet will be prepared for him by Singapore President Tony Tan Keng Yam. Among the objectives of President Duterte's trip to the two countries are enhancement of the defense-security relations, bilateral trade, protection of the Filipino migrant workers, cultural tourism relations, and others. President Duterte will also meet with the Filipino community in Cambodia and Singapore. The President's trip is in line with the preparation of the government for the Philippine chairmanship of the ASEAN Summit next year.
Both trips form part of a series of the President's introductory visits to neighboring Asian countries.
President Duterte has previously been to other Southeast Asian countries, namely Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Brunei, and Laos. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Filipino workers abroad will soon have their exclusive bank to save their hard-earned money in. Gerry will tell us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte has approved the establishment of an overseas Filipino workers bank for Filipino migrant workers and their families.
Ka-approve lang po namin nung recent cabinet meeting, magtatayo po na kayo ng sariling bangko for workers. Workers Bank, it will be a subsidiary bank ng Land Bank for initially for the OFW, pero lahat ng workers pwede naman gumamit nun.
The OFW Bank aims to provide faster processing of remittances and other bank transactions for Filipinos working in different countries around the world. It will also provide opportunities for them to become shareholders and have their own credit facilities. Having an exclusive bank for OFWs is a realization of the projects the President has promised during his campaign.
Yung mga nagtatrabaho para magpadala ng pera sa kanilang mga pamilya, sila po talaga yung tumulong sa atin. That's why ganoon na lang po yung pasalamat namin sa mga OFWs. At ganoon na lang din po ang aming pag-maintain ng relationship dun sa mga social media patriot partners of the President.
Filipino migrant workers in Paris are pleased to hear the good news delivered by Budget Secretary Benjamin Jokno during his visit here in Paris.
Lalo na yung sa bangko at pag-remittance natin kasi para naman sa kapakanan ng overseas Filipino workers.
Aside from the OFW Bank, President Duterte also orders all consul generals to closely monitor the welfare of Filipinos in their respective place of assignments and provide free airfare tickets for distressed OFWs. Gerry, UNTV News and Rescue, Paris, France.
7 Supreme Court Associate Justice nominees are now part of the list of the Judicial and Bar Council to be submitted to President Rodrigo Duterte. Roderick Mendoza tells us why.
The Judicial and Bar Council had voted earlier for the new shortlist of nominees for a vacant Supreme Court Justice position. 6 of the 7 nominees are magistrates of the Court of Appeals or CA. CA Associate Justice Rosemary Carandang got 6 votes, the highest among all nominees. Also part of the shortlist are Justices Apolinario Broselas Jr., Jose Reyes Jr., and Japar Di Mampao, who got 5 votes each. Justices Amy Lazaro Javier and Noel Tiham, as well as private lawyer Rita Linda Jimeno, also got into shortlist with 4 votes each. It is from the said list that President Duterte will choose his second appointee to the Supreme Court, and who will also replace Justice Arturo Brion, who is set to retire on December 29. Last Friday, 5 nominees were submitted to President Duterte for the replacement of Justice Jose Perez, who is set to retire on Wednesday. The Constitution states that vacant positions in the Supreme Court should be filled within 3 months. Roderick Mendoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The Philippine Army welcomes its new chief in the person of AFP Vice Chief of Staff, Lieutenant General Glorioso Miranda. Brian De Paz will tell us why.
Armed Forces of the Philippines Vice Chief of Staff Lieutenant General Glorioso Miranda assumes today the position of Acting Commanding General of the Philippine Army. replacing Lieutenant General Eduardo Año, who is now the new AFP Chief of Staff. Miranda is now the 58th Commanding General of the Philippine Army. Lieutenant General Año and Miranda were classmates in the Philippine Military Academy, class of 1983. General Año has expressed gratitude for the support he had from the staff of the Philippine Army during his leadership for the 85,000-strong army. Miranda also served as the acting AFP chief when General Hernando Iriberri retired in April 2016 at the tail end of the term of President Benigno Aquino III. Lieutenant General Miranda is thankful for the trust given to him by President Duterte and Secretary Lorenzana. He also assured the Commander-in-Chief of his full support for the campaign against illegal drugs.
It's not a matter of the length of the service or time, but I think there are a lot of ways in order to accomplish this. We observe first, okay? Then it's only then when we need the necessary adjustment, so to speak.
He is expected to retire in October 2017 in accordance with the mandatory retirement age of 56. Brian De Paz, UNTV News and Rescue, Taguig City.
The Commission on Elections is now conducting studies on how to reform the political party system in the country. Victor Casare will tell us why.
The Comelec on Bank has already ruled to create a group that would study possible reforms to be made on the political party system in the country. The group is being headed by Commissioners Louis Tito Guia and Rowena Guanzon. Among the points that the Commission wants to institute is how to get political parties to field more women candidates. For now, only 20% of the elected officials belong to the women's sector. And due to the low percentage, some women's rights are not being voiced out in society. As an initial move, the poll body will ask political parties to practice implementing a women's quota in future elections.
We are hoping na pumayag sila sa voluntary women's quota. Kunyari 30-40%. Sinasabi lang po ng pag-aaral na yan na women are less prone to corruption.
However, the Commission will still push for a legislative quota that will be implemented in the future.
Tapos na po kami ng public discussions namin sa mga NGOs, saka mga lawyers groups, IBP, ganyan. Pupunta na po kami sa House Committee on Women and Gender Equality by January, February. Makikimiting po ako sa kanila. Hopeful po kami, pero alam nyo naman na hindi po madali.
However, even with the absence of a law, the election body is planning on putting up some measures so parties will be encouraged to field more women candidates.
Pinag-aaralan din namin ay yung pag-compute ng puntos o points para sa majority, dominant majority party at sa dominant minority party. Iniisip po namin na kung, for example, meron silang 30% ng nanalo nilang kandidato ay mga babae, ay magdadagdag po kami ng puntos.
If the parties adhere to voluntarily adopt a women's quota, the poll body points out that women candidates should not just be limited to lower elective positions. Victor Casare, UNTV News and Rescue, Davao City.
The Department of Health Regional Office in the Cordillera Autonomous Region is pushing for a total firecracker ban in Baguio City. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The Baguio City Police Office is strictly watching over possible sellers of firecrackers in the city. This following the implementation of a total ban in the selling of firecrackers and pyrotechnics in the city, which started last 2014. Despite such a policy, there has been victims of firecrackers. According to DOH Cordillera, there has been 11 victims of firecrackers in Baguio City last year. Many of them were minors. This is why DOH is pushing for a total firecracker ban in the city.
Yun ang inaasam-asam namin, aside from the smoking ban, sana pati itong use of firecrackers sa total ban. Not until ma-amend din yun lahat sana ang tutulong sa atin para masiro talaga ang casualties at pag mawala na yung source. No?
Meanwhile, the muzzle sealing of the guns of around 5,000 police personnel of Police Regional Office of Cordillera will start on December 16.
Kasi pag nilagyan mo ng tape yon, may corresponding signature naman yun eh.
na countersign. So after the season, titingnan namin whether that tape was removed o nasira.
Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The government assures that there will be no road closures and no hiding of people during the Miss Universe beauty pageant in the country. Rosa Licos will tell us why.
According to the government, President Rodrigo Duterte has instructed that there will be no road closures and no hiding of people during the conduct of the said international event.
We presented it to President Duterte. That's the first thing he said. Walang isasaradong kalsada, walang itatago na tao. Ipakita natin ang ganda ng Pilipinas that despite of poverty, there is beauty in this country.
The government has not received any information on security threats so far. Meanwhile, the Miss Universe beauty pageant is expected to boost the arrival of tourists in the country. The Philippines will also have a chance to highlight its less popular tourist attractions.
This is just one of the ways for us to showcase to the world the hidden treasures of our country. A lot of the unknown destinations will be featured in the final show of the Miss Universe.
Some candidates of Miss Universe 2016 have started arriving in the country. Among them are Miss New Zealand Tanya Pauline Dawson and Miss USA Deshwana Barber. Tomorrow will be the kick-off party of the beauty pageant in Pasay City. The candidates will also be going around the country before the coronation on January 30, 2017. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Supporters and members of Church of God International gather at Mall of Asia Arena to celebrate. Joan Nano is at Mo Arena to tell us why, live. Yes, Joan, go ahead.
Yes, good evening, Darlene. Today marks the 36th anniversary of the longest-running religious program known in the Philippines as Ang Dating Daan, supported by the Members Church of God International. The program started in 1983 with Brother Eli Soriano as the host and Kuya Daniel Razon as the director of the program. It is designed to preach the Word of God based solely in the Bible, popular with its unparalleled question and answer format. To date, Ang Dating Daan is now known internationally as the Old Path, translated in different languages around the world, and is watched in 6 continents, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week via satellite and internet. In celebration of this year's anniversary, MCGI now holds a Grand Bible Exposition attended by thousands of supporters and members. We have seen here prominent personalities such as Bagong Henerasyon Party List Representative Bernadette Herrera and the one and only superstar Miss Nora Honor. And Brother Eli is receiving questions from different live points around the world and aired live with 1,360 satellite points as well as on Facebook and on YouTube. Darlene, once again, would like to greet happy 36th anniversary to Ang Dating Daan and MCGI. MCGI is the leading partner of UNTV in all of our public services. And that is the latest live here in Mall of Asia Arena. Back to you, Darlene.
Thank you, Joanne. And that's Joan Nano reporting live from Mall Arena.
Coming up, the South Korean President Park Geun-hye welcomes impeachment vote.
International conservationists report that giraffes are now suffering a silent extinction due to human causes.
And fans can now bid for a rare copy of a special edition book handwritten and illustrated by the famous Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling.
More from Y News after this break. Expect cloudy skies in the eastern section of northern Luzon due to the tail-end effects of a cold front. Light to moderate rains will be experienced in Cagayan, Isabela, and Aurora, while the rest of northern and central Luzon will experience light rains. Metro Manila and the rest of the country will have partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rain showers and thunderstorms. No tropical cyclone has been seen to affect the country this weekend. South Korea's parliament votes to impeach President Park Geun-hye. Eric Ferrer will tell us why.
South Korean lawmakers today have voted overwhelmingly to impeach President Park Geun-hye over an influence peddling scandal, setting the stage for her to become the country's first elected leader to be pushed from office in disgrace. Members of parliament voted by secret ballot with 234 in favor and 56 opposed, meaning dozens of members of Park's own conservative Senori party backed the motion to remove her. At least 200 members of the 300-seat chamber was needed to vote for the motion for it to pass.
대통령 박근혜 탄핵 소추안은 가결되었음을 선포합니다.
7 votes were disqualified, 2 members abstained, and 1 member did not participate, the parliament speaker said. The Constitutional Court must decide whether to uphold the motion, a process that could take up to 180 days. Park's duties were immediately assumed by Prime Minister Wang Hyo-an on an interim basis. Park, who is serving a single 5-year term that was set to end in February 2018, has denied wrongdoing but apologized for her carelessness in her ties with her friend, Choi Soon-sil. Park has been under heavy pressure to quit, but this week said she would await the court's ruling on the impeachment vote. With the recent development, President Park hopes confusion clears after the impeachment vote.
저는 국회와 국민의 목소리를 엄중하게 받아들이고 있으며 지금의 혼란이 잘 마무리되기를 진심으로 바라고 있습니다. 앞으로 헌법과 법률이 정한 절차에 따라서 헌법재판소의 탄핵 심판과 특검의 수사에 차분하고 담담한 마음가짐으로 대응해 나갈 것입니다.
Eric Ferrer, UNTV News and Rescue, South Korea.
Paris extends driving restrictions extended as the famous city is shrouded in a grayish haze. Gerry will tell us why.
Paris banned cars from circulation based on whether their license plates ended with odd or even numbers. The first time such as a ban has been imposed for consecutive days, and several police checks are set up across the capital to stop and find drivers with banned numbers. On top of spot measures, the city of Paris intends to step up its fight against chronic pollution by gradually banning the oldest and most polluting vehicles from the city center. French authorities have given tips on how to minimize exposure to pollution, such as limiting physical exercise and to avoid going outside at the start or the end of the day for the elderly and the younger populations.
J'essaie de ne pas être dans la rue toute la journée à marcher. Auparavant, je marchais beaucoup. Et là, je freine un petit peu. Je prends les transports en commun, je prends le bus.
J'ai jamais été très sensible à la pollution jusque-là. Quand les gens le ressentaient, j'avais pas l'impression de le ressentir. Et là, c'est vrai que depuis plusieurs jours, j'ai une toux sèche un peu inhabituelle, que je relie à rien, la gorge qui me gratte. Alors.
Some people say drivers should decide to change their ways to get around the capital.
Actuellement, les gens sont un peu, enfin je sais pas si c'est parisien ou si c'est français, mais un peu individualistes. On aime bien prendre leur propre voiture, alors que l'idée ce serait peut-être de prendre plus de petits bus, comme c'est le cas dans d'autres capitales européennes.
Paris City made all public transport, residential parking, and the Valley bicycle and Autoliv electric car schemes free in order to entice car users to use other transport modes. Gerry, UNTV News and Rescue, Paris, France.
Environmentalists follow traces of microplastic particles floating on the surface of the Pacific Ocean. Kath Carriedo will tell us why.
A team of researchers set off from the southern city of Los Angeles to the Hawaiian Islands on a mission to collect data in the Pacific Ocean, which might help find routes taken by millions of tons of plastic dumped into the seas each year. Members of Plastic Change, an international organization based in Denmark, which aims to raise awareness about the consequences of the increasing plastic pollution of the oceans, are set to collect data and measure levels of microplastics floating in the water. Microplastics are particles from larger items made brittle by sunlight and pounded to pieces by waves, bitten by sharks and other fish, or otherwise torn apart.
There are several hypotheses of where the remaining part of the plastic can be, and it can be different at different depths in the water column. Some of it might have sunk to the ocean floor. Some of it might have entered the food chain.
Look at this. It's all pieces of microplastic. It's washed offshore here. The ocean works like a blender, and it's blending the plastic down to these smaller pieces.
Volunteers come to the beaches for regular cleanups.
When heaps and heaps of marine debris wash ashore or are tangled in our reef, that's a problem for marine wildlife and it's a problem for human health. And so our best bet to reduce this problem or to prevent future entanglements is to come down here and get as much debris off the beach as possible.
Items found on the beach prove the ocean pollution is a truly global issue. Experts have sounded the alarm over how plastic pollution kills huge numbers of seabirds and marine mammals and destroys ocean ecosystems. Some plastic objects, like discarded fishing nets, kill by entangling dolphins, sea turtles, and other animals. Pieces of plastic frequently get stuck in the throats and digestive tracts of marine animals. Kat Carriedo, UNTV News and Rescue, Chicago.
Giraffes suffer a silent extinction according to the latest report of the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Clarence Shaughnessy will tell us why.
The International Union for Conservation of Nature, or IUCN, report says on Thursday that giraffe numbers have declined by as much as 40% since 1980s in a silent extinction driven by human causes. The Red List of Endangered Species, compiled by IUCN, moved the giraffe to the category vulnerable to extinction for the first time, against a previous rating of least concern. Population of the world's tallest land creature fell to about 98,000 in 2015 for an estimated 152,000 to 163,000 in 1985, according to the list compiled by IUCN. The IUCN said the plunge in numbers in large part of sub-Saharan Africa had gone largely unnoticed. Giraffes are at large risk due to growing human population leading to more illegal hunting, damaging civil unrest, loss of habitats, and changes through expanding agriculture and mining. With land scarcity near most of the national parks in Kenya, developers are slowly invading areas set aside for wild animals, resulting to human-wildlife conflict. Scientists in Kenya are fitting radio collars on most wildlife to help secure and monitor the corridors they use between national parks. Parts of conservation drive that has been seen some of the nation's wildlife population double within the last 35 years. UN study says that the man-made threats led by the loss of natural habitats may herald the worst extinction crisis since the dinosaurs were wiped out 65 million years ago. Clarence Shaughnessy, UNTV News and Rescue, New York, USA.
Danish golfer Thomas Bjorn has a new task to face. Meanwhile, Manchester United is now in second place in Group A at the Europa League. Aaron Romero tells us why.
Manchester United are warming to the task in the Europa League as they booked a spot in the last 32 with a 2-0 win over Zorya Luhansk on a freezing night in Ukraine on Thursday. Goals from Henrik Mkhitaryan, who made a mockery of his 2-month exile from the starting lineup with a superb individual effort, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic secured an easy win. The victory confirmed United in second place in Group A behind Turkish side Fenerbahce, who ended Feyenoord's qualification hopes with a 1-0 away win over the Dutch side. Meanwhile, Denmark's Thomas Bjorn was named as Europe's Ryder Cup captain with the task of reclaiming the trophy from the United States at Le Golf National in Paris in 2018. The 45-year-old, 3 times a player in the biennial contest, becomes the first Scandinavian to be handed the captaincy.
Going into the Ryder Cup and the Ryder Cup captaincy, that's, I'll put everything I have into this.
Since 1985, Europe has won 11 of the 16 Ryder Cups And so Bjorn warned against panic following their loss to the USA last time in Minnesota. Aaron Romero, UNTV News and Rescue, New York.
The UNTV Cup Hard Court will be filled with heart-pounding action this Sunday. Bernard Dadis will tell us why.
Nice pass, Jambal! Good opening round so far by the PNP. Oh, Tolentino!
A championship caliber match awaits UNTV Cup fans as defending champion AFP Cavaliers takes on three-time runner-up PNP Responders on Sunday at the University of Makati Gymnasium. After toppling Malacanang Kamao last Sunday, Coach Sani Manukats enjoy high morale, giving Kamao a taste of their first defeat this season.
Nandun na ulit yung killer instinct eh. Siguro malaking moral booster to. Yung champion na atmosphere namin nandun pa rin.
Despite possessing a strong starting lineup and a deep bench, proving to be dependable in the scoring department, Coach Sani Manukat prepares his Cubs for upcoming battles.
Malakas ang kalaban, so continue effort pa rin. Extra effort. Actually, sabi ko sa kanila, hindi tayo mag-long vacation. Kaya continue pa rin practice namin.
On the other hand, the PNP Responders target to improve even more and maximize their weaponry, composed of a powerhouse cast led by two-time most valuable player, Olan the Sniper Umiping.
Pag-prepare kami especially doon sa depensa kasi patas na kasi yung level ng competition eh. At the same time, siguro dadagdagan mo namin yung offense namin especially doon sa half-court set.
Watch the heart-pounding encounter between the AFP Cavaliers and the PNP Responders live on UNTV with live streaming via UNTVweb.com on Sunday, December 11 at 5:30 p.m. Bernard Dadis for UNTV Cup Season 5.
A rare copy of a book created, handwritten, and illustrated by famous Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling is up for sale. Nino Armilio will tell us why.
Tales of Beedle the Bard, translated from the original runes by J.K. Rowling.
Harry Potter fans will be able to bid for a piece of the novel series history on Tuesday, December 13th, when a rare book created, handwritten, and illustrated by J.K. Rowling goes on sale at Sotheby's Auction House in London. The special edition of the Tales of Beedle the Bard is only one of 6 copies Rowling produced to give as personal gifts to those who helped bring the story of the famous boy wizard to life. They are completely designed, handwritten, and illustrated by Rowling herself. A 7th copy was also produced, specifically for sale at auction in 2007 to raise money for the author's charity Limos. That fetched a record-breaking price of £1.95 million. The manuscript being offered by Sotheby's was presented to Barry Cunningham, an editor at Bloomsbury, who signed Rowling and published her magical debut, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Cunningham's copy of the tales contains a personal dedication by Rowling, thanking him for believing in her work.
Has an inscription to Barry thanking him. It says to Barry, the man who thought an overlong novel about a boy wizard in glasses might just sell, which is a lovely little insight into the role of author and editor.
Bound in brown Morocco leather, the copy is adorned with hallmarked sterling silver ornaments with a skull in the center and carries 7 mounted rhodochrosite stones, according to Sotheby's. The book is estimated to fetch between £300,000 to £500,000.
One has to look at what it sold for before. Of course, this time, in contrast with the previous occasion, last time it was an unpublished manuscript. It has now been published, hence the reduction in price, but it's still a very special thing. It's a very significant piece of Harry Potter history.
The Tales of Beedle the Bard is a volume of 5 wizarding fairy tales left to Hermione Granger by Albus Dumbledore in the final Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. This edition of the Tales of Beetle the Bard will go on display at Sotheby's on New Bond Street in central London from Friday, December 9 till next Tuesday when it will be actioned. Nina Arbilio, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The first TV channel dedicated for kids is launched today. Monokson will tell us why.
The Kids National Channel, or KNC, is an advocacy TV channel for kids under the guidance of UNTV, an active member of Anak TV. Youngsters can watch different child-friendly programs on the channel. This include Kids Craft and Batang Artistic, programs that will help develop the creativity in children. The program Laro Tayo will help kids be more active in sports and other outdoor activities. Around the world, a news program for kids. Little Chef teaches children basic cooking skills. Kids Lab, a show that explores the world of science and technology. The Preschool on Air is a reality TV shot inside a preschool. Kids can watch and do activities by simply watching the Preschool on Air segment on the channel.
Nagpapasalamat kami kay Kuya Daniel dahil nung kami po ay nag-courtesy call at sinasabi namin yung concern namin na wawala na po ang mga programa ng mga pambata. Agad-agad, it's really the work of the Holy Spirit, sabi niya. I-dedicate ko, mag-create ako isang cable channel para sa mga bata.
KNC is a digital station that uses UNTV2 on digital TV sets. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Those are the reasons behind the news, December 9, 2016. Mahalo Castro III.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I'm Gerry Alcantara.
And I'm Darlene Basingan, because we need to know.
We will always ask why. Thank you for watching. Why News.